Hello everybody, today we're doing a video for GTA Car Kits in a 2018 Toyota Corolla, and today we're going to be showing you how to install this Android based stereo in your car. As you can see, it's a huge upgrade over the original radio. It features a 9-inch display with modern IPS screen like in your phone, so you can still do things like Bluetooth, radio, and Bluetooth music. You can also connect this unit to a personal hotspot or Wi-Fi network to use apps like Google Maps, Waze, Spotify, and you can access the Play Store and download additional apps. If your car has original rear view camera, that will still work with this radio, just like that. Your original steering wheel controls will still work with this radio, and your original USB and auxiliary will also function. Now we're going to quickly demonstrate wireless CarPlay. So this is Apple CarPlay, so it's a way safer way to use your phone while driving, so you can do Waze, Google Maps, and so on from here. You can also access your iTunes and listen to your music like that. So to install the Android stereo, you're going to need a flathead screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver, 10mm socket with an extension, and panel removal tool. So we're going to start off with our panel removal tool. We're going to go ahead and make sure that your e-brake is up, and we're going to get underneath this panel and remove it. Next is I'm gonna get underneath the cup holders, and everything is held on clips here, so you can just lift it out and move it towards the back of the car. Because next we're gonna remove this panel. So same thing, we're gonna do it on both sides. And we're gonna again pull it towards the back of the car, just like that. We're doing this because this piece around here, it's held by this corner, so in order not to damage it, we have to just kind of move it back. The next is we're gonna remove this panel around the stereo, and it's also just held on clips, so you're gonna get underneath here. And there's two connections here, so you simply press on the clip and disconnect them, just like that. We're gonna put it away. Now we're gonna use our 10mm socket with an extension. So there's two bolts right here holding the radio, and there's two bolts on the other side, so one down there and one above. So we're gonna go ahead and remove them right now. So once you remove the bolts, the radio is ready to come out, and we're gonna go ahead and remove it. And this side towards the passenger comes out first because of the brackets, and then you kind of wiggle it around and get it out. So here at the back, we're gonna use our flathead screwdriver, and we're gonna remove all the connections to the back of the stereo. Some you can remove by hand, some it's easier to use your just like that. So on the original radio, we're also gonna go ahead and remove these brackets. So we're gonna use our Phillips screwdriver and remove 3 bolts on each side. So there's 3 here and 3 here, because we're gonna transfer these brackets to our Android stereo. So now this is the removed bracket from the original stereo. We're simply gonna line it up with the holes. So as you can see, it's pretty simple. It's almost exact location as the original one. So you simply take the original bolts, and you're gonna do 3 per side, and you gotta just make sure that, of course, you put the left and right side brackets appropriately on our Android stereo. So now we're gonna go ahead and mount the 2 brackets. So now this is our Android stereo with the 2 original brackets mounted on it. So we can put this radio away right now, and so the next step will be to wire our GPS antenna and the microphone over here into the A-pillar. So now over here on the driver's side, with the door open, we're going to use our panel removal tool, and we're going to remove this side panel. Our goal is to feed the wires to the back of the stereo, as you cannot use the original microphone from this car for our Android stereo. Once you remove this panel, we're also going to remove this small piece around here. It's all held on clips. Next step will be to use our flathead and remove this blocker, and inside here is a Phillips screw. which we're gonna go ahead and remove also. With that screw removed, you can now grab this panel and you're gonna drop it down. It's also at this point just held on clips, so you can just drop it down. Next step would be to grab the weather stripping and peel it back. That's in order to hide the wire behind it. So we're gonna take both wires and we're gonna start from the top. We're gonna get them behind here towards the corner, and then we're gonna go down. And as we're going down, we're gonna be putting back the weather stripping. So make sure you take your time when you're doing this step, so you hide the wire nicely behind it. Inside, you're gonna grab it, feed it through, and here you're gonna hide it again. So once the wire is hidden, now we're gonna continue on the inside. So we're gonna make sure that the wire is going behind the plastic panels. So once we put all the panels back, it's gonna be fully hidden. So that's our goal. So once we're at this point, you're gonna grab this plastic piece that is around the cluster. And you're just gonna kind of gently remove it. And here's another plastic piece, which just held on clips. Again, we're gonna remove it. We're gonna take our two wires. I'm gonna feed them behind. So at this point, all the wiring is behind the actual plastic. And the last step is to get this wire behind the radio. So again, we're gonna go ahead and pull it through. And so now we have it at the back of the stereo. So because the wire is long, you can kind of tie it and use a cable tie to make it smaller, which will be easier than to hide it behind the radio. So on this step, we can go ahead and put back all the plastic pieces. So now we put all the panels back, and we have our microphone and GPS antenna wires at the back of the stereo, and these two are here, and you can sticker them on the windshield. Next step is to wire the USB connections. So with our radio, you're gonna get three: one single and one double USB connection harness. So the double we're gonna put in the glove box, and the single will make the original USB work that is right here. So we're simply gonna attach it to this adapter, and then this adapter will go to this gray connection that you removed from the original radio. And so this purple one then will go to our Android stereo. So now we have our double USB connections. It's optional to wire them, but we're gonna show you them anyways. So we're gonna wire them to the glove box. You're gonna open it. There's plenty of space to put the wire through, to have it at the back. And you can simply put the cables in the glove box. And now we're gonna connect the wiring harness for the radio. So this is the wiring harness that you would get with our radio. So we're gonna simply match up the original connections to the ones that came with our harness. And some of the connections will be left unplugged because this harness is made for a few different Toyotas, so it will be okay if you don't connect all of them. This one in particular is for the antenna. Then we have this one. There's the last one right here. So because you have, in this particular car, there's an original rear view camera, you also have to connect this adapter that comes with our stereo. So here you're gonna find the CAM-VIN connection. We're gonna connect it with the rear view from from the original harness. Also, there's two RCAs for the original auxiliary to work. We're going to connect them too. So simply match white and red. And so this connection will go, this is the main harness that will go to our stereo. As I said before, you're going to have some connections that are unplugged, which is okay. So now we're going to go ahead and start connecting these to the back of our stereo. So this is our Android stereo. So first thing we're going to mount is our Wi-Fi antenna. Next will be the GPS antenna, which we wire to the A-pillar. Then it's the microphone, which is also in our A-pillar. Then this is the double USB in the glove box. Right here. Then we're gonna do the single USB, which is to make our original USB work. Just like that. Then this brown one is for the original rear view camera. Then we're gonna connect our antenna. And the last one is the main harness for the power and speakers and so on. And this ground, you can kind of loosen one of the bolts that you use to mount the brackets and mount it here. So once you do that, we're gonna go ahead and start putting this radio inside the car. So when you're putting the radio in, you gotta make sure that there's no wires hanging underneath. So you gotta make sure they all go back into this open space. And we're gonna put it kind of sideways because this side goes in first, the same way we removed it. We're gonna go ahead and put it. As you can see, it has a screen protector, which we're gonna remove. But first we're gonna take our original 10mm bolts with our extension. And we're gonna put two on each side to mount this radio in. So now we're gonna take this original piece that we removed that is around the radio. We're gonna connect this side first, then we're gonna connect the hazard switch. So when you're putting this one in, you gotta make sure that here on the lower corner that goes in first, and then you're gonna position it around the stereo, just like that. Gotta make sure that clips in everywhere. Once it's clipped in, you're gonna clip in this panel, and then you're gonna clip in the cup holders, and then we're gonna put the panel around the shifter, and then we're gonna go ahead and start testing this radio. So once we install the stereo and put everything back to original, we're gonna test it. So we're gonna turn the car to the accessory position. The first time turn around, it might take a while to boot, and that's normal, and you can adjust that in settings. So we're gonna test to make sure that the sound is working okay. So we're gonna go to radio, and it is. So we're also gonna check steering wheel controls, and they are working, which is good. We're gonna turn the key one more time, and we're gonna put the car into reverse to check the original camera, and that is working too. So at this point, you can go ahead and set the time and connect the device to a personal hotspot or Wi-Fi network. So you can use apps like PlayStore. And we have an in-depth video on how to use this particular unit, so you can check that out. So at this point, the installation is complete. I hope you liked the video, and we'll see you next time.